Welcome back to the Roundtable. This is your host, Emilio DiSpirito, and we're in the studios today with Theresa Santoro with Germani Title and Closing. And we're talking about an email address of a realtor right here in Rhode Island that got hacked, and a substantial amount of money was lost. So I'll let Theresa get into that. Theresa, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here and talking about some scams that are going on both nationally and here in Rhode Island. Locally, the online scam that has just recently hit is when a scam artist stole about $13,000 this week from a client of a real estate agent here in Rhode Island. And what this scammer did is he hacked into this real estate agent's email account and didn't necessarily do anything right at first, kind of just monitor the emails going back and forth, just watched, kind of laid and wait there. And when it came time to close, the scammer asked that the wire be sent a little differently than what was initially agreed on. And, the agent allegedly said, I'll explain later. This is what the scammer wrote. I'll explain later. Just go ahead, send the wire, and we'll close. We'll talk about it after. The buyer, having, used this agent throughout the entire process, had developed a relationship, built some trust there, didn't see really anything wrong with it. My agent says it's okay, and they're representing me in this transaction, so I'm going to go ahead and listen. Buyer did so, wired the money, and only later discovered that the money was not wired to the correct place. It was wired to this scam artist, and the buyer lost $13,000.
It's crazy, and that was not that realtor's fault.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, this
fault.
scammer.
I feel for him.
Absolutely. I mean, these scammers can monitor the emails for a long time before they take any action. So they're looking at the way you speak, the lingo you use, your mannerisms, finding other valid and accurate information about your transaction. So it sounds very legitimate to the victim. The agent's talking about this stuff we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
He's talking about the dog that I met, that I saw. So I know it's really him. You have no reason to doubt that this is the person with whom you've been dealing. Unfortunately, the scammers know that, and later on the show, Jessica Edgerton is going to be talking about something like this, and she's going to mention spear phishing, which is what happens when a scammer pretends to be somebody else.
Exactly, and Jessica Edgerton's with the National Association of Realtors, and she's calling in from the headquarters in Chicago. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that segment. But Theresa, you're dead right here, and this is like, it's just it's scary, So I know you guys have been taking some pretty big precautions at Germani for this.
Well, it's so tough with the wire. It's supposed to be the most secure, and it's just so easily hacked into. I mean, even sometimes we have situations where property is owned by a trust, and the trustees are the same people as individually and as trustees, they're the same exact people.
Yeah.
So when we're trying to wire them money, they don't have necessarily a trustee bank account. They just have their own checking account or savings account that they use. And we can't wire money to them because of wire fraud. We can't they're technically a different entity, so we can't give them the money that they need because we have to take such strict precautions because of this, that even people who I know that it's them, I can't give them the money.
Oh, man. So how do you give them their money?
They either have to open a trust bank account, or I can cut them a check and then they can endorse it however they need to with valid signatures.
You, Dan, and Stephen aren't going on vacation with their wire funds,
No, unfortunately, no. We do have to give those back.
And you do have to close a ton of our deals at transactions.
Yes, and not only our firm, but several other title companies have fallen victim to this, where a alleged email would come over from a buyer or a seller expecting to receive proceeds, and they'll send an email saying, "Hey, I know I gave you this account at the closing and on the closing docs, but actually, could you put it into my savings account instead of my checking account? Would you mind?" And companies who don't necessarily look into it and do their due diligence say, "All right, I get that. They want it in the savings instead of the checking. No big deal."
Yeah.
Turns out that's not their account at all. They didn't even write that email, and now this title company has committed wire fraud.
Sad.
You have to be very careful. So any wire instructions that you send over, they need to be in either encrypted emails or, verify the phone number of the person, call them back, make sure that it's them, have them come into the office even just to make sure that it is the same person that you met at your closing and these instructions are valid. Any changes after the closing, I don't like to do. You have to be very, very cautious because of this $13,000 that got lost.
Sure thing. It happened right here in Rhode Island, so it could happen to you.
Yep.